I've woken up to the horrific news this morning that there's been a suicide bomb attack at Manchester Arena. I was born in Manchester, and one thing I know about the Manchester people is they're very down-to-earth and realistic people. From what I've read in the newspaper, I understand that they were, the audience did include Muslim people as well. These terrorist attacks, they do kill people of every faith, and I wish to express my sincere condolences to the families and friends that have lost their loved ones, and also at the same time to reassure those people that the people that have lost relatives, that have lost loved ones, that every single one of those souls are with Jah in universal intelligence. And this is exactly why these horrors and divisions have been created in this world, to keep us all divided, to keep us all blaming each other and hurting and hating each other, in order that none of us ever connect with our true humanity and our true human selves. Now, as an example, this family, a Jewish family, his father was a general, okay, an army general, Israeli army general, and then they lost a family member, and, as he says, the anti-Arab racism suffused in Israeli textbooks and codified in the social milieu went unchallenged in Miko's life. He'd grown up with that rhetoric and just accepted it until he was an adult in mourning for his niece, Samada, who was killed by a suicide bomber not much older than she. To the reporters gathered at her home, Samada's mother, Miko's sister, Professor Nurit Peled Elhanan, blamed the Israeli government's megalomania for her daughter's death and the death of the suicide bombers. Although she is mentioned infrequently in Miko's narrative, Nurit emerges from the pages as a woman of great strength and moral fortitude, and a mother in the truest sense. And this is an example of a family who refused to play the game, refused to bow down and accept the burden of hatred now that they were supposed to support. She was supposed to stand there and demand that her government goes and bombs Gaza and kills 1,000 children because one of them have killed her daughter. But she's an intelligent woman, a caring, compassionate woman of great strength and moral fortitude. She refused to feed into what she knew had killed her daughter. And that is exactly what is going on in Manchester and all over throughout Europe. We've already got evidence. Check out Anthony Farrell, senior police intelligence analyst. He understood, he spoke out and was persecuted because, as he explained, it was an orchestrated event using patsies. Patsies who were convinced that they were taking part in a training exercise. And then they were shot. And we know for a fact that the trains were blown up by military-grade weapons, military-grade bombs that were placed underneath the carriages of the trains. Those are the facts. Nobody's bothered to pick up on those facts. Instead, this is what we get in Britain, okay? This is what we get in Britain. Muslim hate. Now this lady, she put a Twitter up saying that, she hopes that don't use Manchester incident as an excuse for Islamophobia. Stand with our beautiful Muslim siblings and don't scapegoat innocent people. People fucking died and you still want to fish for retweets by using Islamophobia to make baseless allegations. Miss me with that shit. Islamophobia is strong tonight on Twitter. We have to keep in mind that Muslim friends and family will be dealing with extra hate because of this. Well, Muslim friends and family were part of the audience there, okay? I'm not showing the Guardian article because it shows pictures of the people, and I really don't want to cause any more upset to the families. Okay, so I don't want to show images of people who've lost their lives, and my heart just goes out to those people. I don't know. It's just so terrible. And the reason why I'm making this video is to support this lady, or male. I don't know, because you don't know with these names whether it's a male or female. But what this person is saying is right, because the kind of Islam, so-called, that does things like that, it is not supported by Islam. Allah does not ask people to go and kill innocent people in Allah's name. Never. Okay. And we do need to stand in line now and refuse to fall for the hatred that has been implanted in our society. And it is Islamophobia, because it is the same as the whole of the Middle East suddenly turning against Christians because of actions of the Ku Klux Klan. And there is a danger in doing that, because then the people, the innocent people who are being targeted with hate and social persecution on a daily basis, then they suddenly, it sends people crazy, and then they suddenly become radicalised. We need to get real. We need to understand who the real enemy is here. Okay? The enemy that has paid for and funded this in Iraq. This boy, 14 years old, he's just about to have his head chopped off. What was his crime? For watching football. Now this is what the British military, the USA military, the Zionists, and even the Saudi extremist elite, and we know that they were put in place by Britain in the first place. That's why they're there. They're all colluding together. And behind it all are the Zionist bankers, because they control all the wealth. And they've been funding, and they've been training, and they've been recruiting every mad nutter that they can find to go and take part in the horror that they've inflicted on Iraq. And before British people start getting all full of the hatred, the haters amongst British society, who now will feel justified to go and hate and spit on somebody and be nasty to them, okay, drinking the blood of the sufferers, because that's what you're doing in order to create more hate. Those people have not lost their lives to feed your hate. Go away. Get real. If you're going to be angry, place it in the right, on the right people. Abu Hamza secretly worked for MI5. Apparently his hate preaching, which he did, he preached hate and he recruited people to join ISIS. Okay, well, we were told that he was there to keep the streets of London safe. What? Going around preaching hatred? And he got arrested by the Americans and extradited by them. Britain had done nothing to him. He was working secretly with British intelligence to keep the streets of London safe by cooling hotheads. What? Cooling hotheads with his radical hate speeches. But it's not just him. Here's another one. Al-Qaeda. Right. Senior European intelligence officials tell Time that Abu Qatada is tucked away in a safe house in the north of England, where he and his family are being lodged, fed and clothed by British intelligence services. One of Al-Qaeda's most dangerous figures, Qatada, has been revealed as a double agent working for MI5, raising criticism from European governments which repeatedly called for his arrest. He pledged to MI5 that he would not bite the hand that fed him. Indignant French officials accused MI5 of helping the cleric to abscond. You know, and then we've got this guy as well, another one, British intelligence asset Anjem Chowdhury sent to prison. Okay, here we go. Okay, and who is behind all of this? Who is behind it all? Who is behind it all? Yes. Who was behind it? Who funded him? Who runs British Parliament? Who's got the biggest lobby in British Parliament? The Israel lobby. Let's not call it the Israel lobby, because this isn't about Israel or about Jewish people. It's about the evil Zionists, okay? The evil Zionists who live by this, and they're trying to say it's a hoax. Well, isn't it funny? Because everything in this hoax has come to pass. And right now, they've orchestrated economic terrorism against British people. Okay. And here we have, you know, the Chinese president sending a message to the Queen expressing his sincere condolences. Do you think she's even slightly bothered about the people of Manchester? That Theresa May or any of them are bothered about the people of Manchester? Where were the global condolences for the 50,000 British people who've lost their lives directly due to economic terrorism from these Zionists in the last, what, since the Tories got into power? 50,000 people have committed suicide or been driven to early death through illness, through benefits cuts, redundancies. Overworked NHS staff have been committing suicide. There's no condolences for them. Anti-terrorism. And we find out what? That British intelligence has been funding these people, has been feeding them, protecting them. And now I get on my Twitter and I've got to deal with Islamic hatred from people who, what, they don't care, these people who hate Muslims. They don't care about the families and the victims and what they have to suffer. They could not give a toss. To them, it's just a cup of blood to feed their hatred and spread more hatred. Megalomania, like this lady said, the Jewish mother. A mother in the truest sense. Megalomania, that's what killed her daughter. And how would British people be feeling if Iraq had invaded our country on the strength of a pack of lies and unfounded suspicions, killed 1 million of us, demolished our homes, left countless children orphaned, and then the ones that have survived, we've left ISIS there and they're getting their heads chopped off. They're watching football and people talk to me about hatred against British Muslims who were at that event in Manchester as well and who do not support any of this, and I will not tolerate it. And we should not tolerate it. We should not let madness feed madness, and we need to focus our attentions where they really belong. And that is on our Zionist evil government and the Zionist evil bankers and all their cronies. We know that you're a collective. You've got socialism for yourselves, haven't you? And corporate capitalism for us. And all the divisions that you need now in order to implement it, because you want the people to be distracted from you and your crimes so we can all fight and hate each other here on the ground. Well, I tell you now, I know for a fact I've got more in common with my fellow Muslim neighbours than I have with any of you in Parliament. You set of murdering bastards. You know, I was thinking of voting in this election, voting Corbyn just to keep the Tories out, but I just cannot do it. I cannot give my vote to anybody who would sit in that house of filth and participate in the bloodletting on the pretext of, oh, well, we're trying to do something from within. Well, you've done fuck all from within, and 50,000 people, British people, are dead. And how many of our soldiers are dead and injured? And how many Iraqi people? And we need to stop this hate. And I'll tell you something now, Zionists. You are going to get out of our country. Your banks are going to be smashed to smithereens. We are not going to be using your money. We are going to have our own money supply. We are going to implement universal law. Your light is shining. I have shared it. It is real, people. You are universal intelligence. Your soul is immortal. And we will build a paradise in our societies. And we will tolerate every faith. And even people of no faith. We will live by universal law of abundance and compassion. Not your thrifting austerity. No. We are going to kick you out of our yards. Okay? And everything that you've done, Britain, you Nazi queen, Nazi elite, Zionist queen. David Cameron said himself in 2009, go and Google it, I am a Zionist, he said. And it's them that are feeding off all this. They're drinking the blood of the sufferers. That's what they do, and they use that then to justify giving themselves more power. Okay, well, why? How did that suicide bomber get into the Manchester arena? Because I've been to the Sheffield arena multiple times on behalf of collecting for charities or to vegan events, music events there, and not once has anybody got in there without being searched. Every time I've been there since 1991, and that's a lot of times. Okay. Now, recently, in Sheffield, I went out to a small event. It was an independent event that had hired a little club to have this party gathering there. There were only about 200 people went in there. There was not one person entered into that club without having their bags searched and patted down for knives. So how did this person get in? Okay. And then we find out that British intelligence has got somebody like him tucked away in the north of England. You know, these are all the people that have been recruited that work for MI5. And the people they recruit, then they recruit, you see, because that's what they use somebody like him to recruit mad people, preaches his hate speech, see who comes forward. What mad people are going to come forward? And then they think they're working for him. And he'll send them off to Pakistan to be trained by ISIS. They don't realise that he's working for British intelligence. They wouldn't, even if you told them that, you know him, he's working for MI5, they'd have laughed in your face. Don't be stupid, they wouldn't have allowed him to go around preaching his hate. Well, actually, they would. And they do. And it is time that we woke up to it. It is time that we wake up to reality now. And we stand very firm and strong. And we stand by exactly as this lady asked in her Twitter. That we stand by those people. We stand by our beautiful Muslim siblings. Because, you know, I've been showing this man. This is the true face of Islam. Ayatollah Burjadi. Stands up for human rights, women's rights. True Islam. That the West doesn't want, the Zionists don't want you to know. In fact, they want you to help stamp him out. And that's why they orchestrate these terrorist attacks. And they are behind it. And they killed our people. And they feed on hate, on hate, on hate, on hate. You know, they instill hatred and craziness in people that by killing those people, and then those people get crazy enough to go and blow themselves up. And who's feeding on it? And yet this is the real face of Islam. That's the Islam I know and understand. That's the Islam that universal intelligence light being showed to me. What he's supporting. But will you see him on the BBC? No, no, instead, but they will show you him every single time. And what's happened in Iraq, it's just so dreadful. You know, people are having the daughters, 8-year-old daughters snatched off them so that she can be married to an ISIS invader. And who has left these people there? Britain. And how would we be feeling if it was us, if it was our teenagers having their heads chopped off? And that's why it's so easy for people like him to go and preach the hate and recruit somebody who will say, yeah, I'll go and blow myself up and kill people. Who they indoctrinate with a false interpretation of Islam and use it to justify, falsely justify, insane actions. And that's why I've made this video, to share condolences and empathy with the people who've lost friends and family, or whose friends and family have been injured, or who are now traumatised by this. And as I say, I know that includes people of all faiths. Okay? And we need to stand together now, because this hatred, that is what it's about. They want to distract us from the real criminals of this world, because them criminals are terrified of Jah and universal law. They're terrified of our human rights. They're going to scrap our human rights, and they drink the blood of every suffering atrocities like this in order to give themselves more power and to bomb more places. And it is insanity, and we need to stop it. And the only thing that's going to stop it is the human beings of compassion, of intelligence, who have the moral courage and strength of fortitude to recognise the real criminal here, the real hands manipulating the victims to create more victims, the hate to spread more hate. And as I've always said, lawful rebellion. It is time for us to unite and stand together against this insidious, covert force that is in Britain under the name of Zionism, to accept the truth of 7/7, of what our own senior police intelligence analyst Tony Farrell has explained, that it was an inside job orchestrated with Mossad intelligence involvement. Because how was it that none of the London people got warned, but Netanyahu, who was staying in London on that day, he got warned, pre-warned by Mossad? How did they know? But no warning for the British people. It is time now for us to have strength and moral fortitude. It is time now for us to once and for all recognise that it's our own evil Nazi elite. We know that the Zionists funded Hitler. We know that the British aristocracy supported him, including the royal family. Okay, time has told its story. And anybody who starts attacking their Muslim neighbours, okay, and children, encouraging the children to attack Muslim children in schools, okay, you're working for the devil. That's what you're doing. You're working for the devil. And true people of true intelligence, who have true compassion and understanding, they they will not tolerate. We will not tolerate this hatred. We will not allow our country to become a Trump nation. And the amount of evidence that we've got to support our suspicions outweighs by 1,000 times the evidence that Trump had for going and dropping how many bombs on Syria? On the vague suspicion, nothing even confirmed, bang, straight away. Yes. Oh, but we're supposed to tolerate suspicion. We're supposed to ignore actual evidence that shows us that these people are being funded by our own intelligence services, created, used to recruit these nutters who then go and commit these atrocities. And what we're supposed to do is follow their lead, aren't we? We're supposed to now hate Muslims. Well, no, because I am not a pawn in your chess game, Mr. Zionist. Okay? We are not going to play your protocols of Zion. Your days are over. Your consciousness is evil. And Jewish people themselves know it. And they're speaking out against you. They are not playing your game. Okay? And we're not going to play it either. Love and strength and jar love with all the people of Manchester. And Manchester, I know what you're. I'm a Mancunian. I know the love of the Manchester people, the real earthy love, and what we've been through historically, okay, and the oppressions that we've suffered collectively. I know. Okay, I grew up in Manchester Moss Side, multicultural society it was, and they bombed it, they demolished it all and divided us all up. White people sent over there, black people sent to Hume, Asian people sent to Whalley Range. I know it, I lived it. I know that my auntie, who was married to a Jamaican, she was going to be refused a house on the council estate we were moved to when they demolished our homes. Why? Because she was married to a black man. Yes, yes. But in the end they had to let her in because her mother was living there and all her family had been moved there. So I know what they did. I lived it. And I know this kind of hatred that they want, that they've been feeding on as a distraction from the Nazis. Okay, because that's what the Zionism is, Nazism. That's what that extremist Islam is that they've imposed on Iran and that they've established into power in Saudi Arabia. The kind of extremist Islam that wants to stamp him out. And the Western powers, the Zionist powers, want to recruit all of Europe towards stamping him out, okay, because that's what they want. They don't want the true Islam to come through, because true Islam forbids the type of usury that Zionists thrive on. True Islam upholds the very human rights that this Parliament in autumn has pledged to scrap. And you think scrapping those rights isn't going to kill British people? You think that's not a terrorist act? To remove our human rights? No. It is now time for us all to get real and to understand the war, because I'm telling you now, this is a spiritual battle as well as a physical battle, and this is the Armageddon. And there's going to be one divide: those who stand up for human rights and child rights and those who don't. Okay, and it doesn't matter what colour you are, what faith you are, what nationality you are. If you are on the side of human rights, this universal intelligence is with you. And know it is real. And know that even if we lose our physical body expires in this battle against evil, insanity, because that's what evil is, insanity. Justified insanity. We need to know we are an immortal soul, and most of us will be coming back, and we're going to sort out this planet now. We're going to confront this evil from its root, and we're going to cast it out, because it's a dead root and it is killing the tree. So love and strength to all. And you know, I don't even know yet. When I check the names of, I could have lost a family member in that myself. Okay, so I've got to go through the names and see, because I've got a lot of family living in Manchester. And as I say, I hold you responsible, Parliament, for all your evils, and I hold you responsible, Zionists, and I hold you responsible, extremists, Saudis and Iranian, okay? You are all on the side of insanity, and you're standing against universal law. Well, universal law will succeed on this planet. Otherwise, the planet will be completely destroyed by your own hatred, because that's what cancer does. And then in the end, when it's got nothing else to feed on, it has to die, doesn't it? But we are going to do our best, myself, and I know the good people of Britain, and as I say, I know that there's a solid sense of reality in Manchester. It's one of the realest places that I know. And we are going to come together. And we are not going to be divided, okay? We are not going to be divided. We're going to stand up. We're going to share our love. We're going to share our compassion. That's what's going to get strong, okay, this time, because you're not going to win, because we are not pieces in your chess game, New World Order, and you shall not succeed, okay? You shall not succeed. And if you win, then you're all dead. You've all signed your own death warrants. And believe you me, none of your kind will ever come back to life, into life, ever again, because your days are over. The truth is known. Universal intelligence is here. Your light is shining. Okay? It's shining through people like him. Okay? And we will grow strong under your light, and righteously, in righteousness, we shall evict you, Zionists, from our parliament, from our banks, and your corporations, from our nations. Corporations, your global security firm Israel coming, setting up care homes in Britain, getting 200,000 a year off the welfare benefits off British public purse for every child they have. Oh, but a British family can raise 3 children on 20 grand a year, can't they? Oh, but if G4S, a global security firm, Mossad subsidiary, has to look after a child, British government will give him £200,000 a year. Economic terrorism is what's killing more people in Britain. 50,000, as I've said, have lost their lives directly through the economic terrorism that has been afflicting our society since the banking crash. The same terrorists who organise all this, all over the world. Okay? So, just remember who's recruited him, who was paying him. And that's all we need to know. Okay? And as I say, all you people out there who now feel justified to go and hate somebody because you've got so much anger in you and pent up aggression, you want to go and take it out on a Muslim now, okay? Well, you've got absolutely no right to feed on the suffering of these families and victims. And like I say, my own family is probably members in that group that were there last night. And you've got no right to feed off our suffering to spread more hate. You've got no right whatsoever. Please, British people, please, please understand what I'm saying. Please get strong. We are in serious peril. Our planet is in serious peril. All these events that they're orchestrating are a distraction. They have got a plan to, you know, kill billions of people. Check the Georgia Guidestones out. Please get with your love. Please hold faith in the truth of the intelligence, the universal intelligence that created you. Understand you're a universal being. Come together. Give support to these families in Manchester now who've lost family members or suffered the trauma, the injury of it, please get together. Everybody come together and support each other, and let us show the kind of strength and moral fortitude and be a human being in the truest sense. God bless.